saying that they had never been proud of America until that time. I think, haven't they met anybody in uniform yet?
Wow, welcome back to Harbor. That was, of course, Sarah Palin last night in San Jose, California, with a jab at First Lady Michelle Obama. What's Palin's game? New York Magazine's John Hollins back from the coast. He was at the event last night in San Jose. Also joined tonight by Salon.com's Joan Walsh, who's out there in San Francisco. So let's just do a little bit on this. Why would she take this shot at the First Lady, the beloved First Lady, I must say, John Hollins? And what did it feel like?
Well, it was very early in the speech when she made that comment. The first thing she does when she walks into the room is she asks everyone in the room who's served in the military to stand up for a big round of applause. And that was the next thing that she said after that. There's a certain kind of improvisational quality to what she does, Chris, but I would say there was a consistent theme throughout the speech as she, in addition to trashing the Obama administration throughout, she was constantly bringing up the 2008 campaign again. She was constantly relitigating the arguments then. She was saying things like, I told people, Barack Obama said to Joe the plumber that he was going to spread the wealth around. He told us what he was going to do. I knew this was what he was going to do. Later in the day, she actually went back and relitigated the Katie Couric interview. She had a question from the audience, from some kids in the audience about what she reads, and she went back. She said, there was this interviewer back during the campaign. She wouldn't name Katie Couric, but she said there was this interviewer who asked me that question. I felt like she was treating me like a Neanderthal who doesn't read anything. I didn't answer that question at the time, she said, and it's haunted me ever since. So the 2008 campaign and relitigating that is a very big part of the things that are on her mind today, and I think that's where part of the Michelle Obama thing comes from.
That's a terrible answer on her part. I know it'll work with some people, but I'm asked a lot, what do you read? How do you prepare? How do you get your ideas? I'm asked it all the time. It's a totally legitimate question. Where's the input valve? Joan, the same with you, I'm sure. People want to know how you can stay well informed when you have to debate issues and discuss them.
There was nothing that was a gotcha question about that, Chris. We were all shocked that she couldn't say something. But I want to go back to the Michelle Obama comment for a minute because I think it's so outrageous and so not classy. I want you to think back in 2007. Barack Obama was not necessarily running for president yet. He was a contender. He was kind of like Sarah Palin in that sense. No one knew if he was going to run. Can you imagine Barack Obama ever taking a shot at Laura Bush? I mean, it's just not done. It's beyond political decorum. But she can do it because the Obamas are fair game, whatever you want to do. There's no decorum in this country when it comes to the Obamas. But it's just
I think
mean.
there's a tribal aspect to this thing, too. Let's be blunt.
It's mean and nasty.
It's tribal. It's just our group out here won't like them at all as people, right. So anything goes. Let's take a look at Palin. Let's take a look at Palin again in California. Here's Tom Brokaw. She's out there. So here's Tom Brokaw asking Meg Whitman about Palin in that Tuesday debate we covered. Let's listen because he asks about this event.
Ms. Whitman, a real force in your party is Sarah Palin. She'll be in California on Saturday. She's been the governor of a big western state. Are you going to seek her advice on what you may do for California after her experience in Alaska?
So Sarah Palin's coming to California, and she's doing fundraising and a number of other things. And you know what? She has a real following in the Republican Party. But you know that I have actually supported other presidential nominees in our party, whether it was John McCain or my long-term friend Mitt Romney. So that day I'm going to be out with voters talking about the things that matter to Californians, and that is jobs.
That didn't make any sense. She supported McCain, who was on the ticket with Palin. They weren't running against each other. What does that mean, John, to say things that don't make any sense? Well, that wasn't an answer. She's obviously a smart person, Meg Whitman, I assume. How can you give an answer that makes no sense and have people hear it? Well, wait a minute, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, Chris, I think you've heard a lot of politicians in your time on this show and elsewhere give answers that make no sense when they're trying to dodge a bullet. She wants to. She's in a very tight race with Jerry Brown, and the people who are that are still up for grabs are not the kind of people in California in that blue state, whether it's a deep blue state or a light blue state. We're going to find out on November 2nd. But in a blue state, the voters who are still up for grabs, those are not people who are attracted to Sarah Palin. It was very noticeable in her appearance in San Jose. She did not mention Meg Whitman, nor did she mention Carly Fiorina, who she endorsed in the Senate primary earlier in the year. Obviously, she was acting, I think, on orders from those campaigns. They are trying to keep their distance from her because, as I say, at this point in their campaigns, being associated with Sarah Palin is not going to help them with undecided, centrist, independent voters.
Let's take a look at a commercial. I'm sorry, John. Here's a commercial. I want you to respond to this. This is a new commercial for Palin's somewhat unrelated reality show on the Learning Channel. Let's listen.
you ready?
Oh, gosh. We are somewhere that people dream about.
Family comes first. It's just got to be that way.
No, boys, go upstairs.
This is flippin' fun.
How come we can't ever just be satisfied with tranquility?
I'd rather be doing this than in some stuffy old political office. I'd rather be out here being free.
An all-new 8-week television event, Sarah Palin's Alaska, premieres Sunday, November 14th at 9 on TLC.
Joan, there's a lot to buy here. I mean, it's very attractive out there. I mean, she's an outdoors person. We Americans love that stuff. I mean, I love it. I pay great tribute to her. If she can do a dog sled, if she can do that hiking up the mountainside, that's great. I'm all for it. What's it got to do with anything? It has to do with the fact that she is leading among Republicans in terms of job approval as the most popular Republican in the country right now. It's serious business. For president, let's face it.
I mean, also, it's on the Learning Channel. I don't get that. Let's start there. I mean, it's preposterous. It sounds fun. It sounds like it'd be fun to spend a day with her. But if she's so happy being free out there, why is she giving it up and traveling all around the country? I mean, it's completely disingenuous because she's obviously really, really happy being out on the campaign trail, raising money for herself and filling her pockets with these speeches. She's being paid for a lot of these speeches. So it's really, she's saying one thing on that show and she's doing something very different. And to go back to the California issue, 2/3 of California voters in last week's field poll said that Palin's support or being associated with Palin makes them less likely to want to support California politicians. So it's clear what Whitman and Fiorina were doing. She's toxic here.
You know, I get back to my favorite question because it is not a tough one. Well, it's a hardball question, I'll admit it. John Heilman, do you believe, I'm asking any Republican candidate or politician, do you believe that Sarah Palin is qualified to be president? And even her own guy, Joe Miller, who she created out of nothing up in Alaska, who's the nominee now of the Republican Party, because of her endorsement, will not say she's any more than 35 years old and was born in the country, will not say she's qualified in any real substantive sense to run this country in a complicated world. Don't they all have to belly up to that question fairly soon? This campaign's going to start in about 2 months. How long can they avoid saying whether she's got it or not?
Well, I think it's a fascinating question for this reason, Chris. I mean, I increasingly among Republican professional operatives, people who've run presidential campaigns before, they think, number one, that she's likely to run, and number two, that she could well be the Republican nominee. And part of the dynamic that is going to work in her favor is that all of the other candidates are going to get asked that question, and all of them, like Joe Miller and like many other people, are afraid to answer that question. They're afraid to say no. Which is what many of them think, because they're afraid of alienating her voters, who they will need, presumably, at some point if she gets defeated in the nomination contest. They don't want to alienate those people. But they're also afraid to say yes, because they think it will make them look foolish, because they believe that she does not have the substantive grasp of a lot of policy that a president of the United States needs.
It could be a statement about how dull politicians are, that her sparkle, her presentation is so electric that it trumps all the substance in American politics today. That's a hell of a statement, right, Joan? Thank you. That style beats all substance. Thank you, John Heilman. Have a nice weekend, Joan and John. It's great having you on the show as always.